Hi everybody, Matt Lawton here. This is the Astrological Winds channel, and I'm going to take a look at the astrological weather report for the week of July 18th through the 24th. And basically the theme of this week is we're switching into the Leo energy. We're going to have we have the Sun, Mercury, and Ceres all going into Leo. And also, if you'll remember last week on Saturday, we had a Sun Mercury superior conjunction. So what's going on this week is whatever Mercury does, the Sun is doing too. But first, a little business aside, the Astrological Winds channel is available on YouTube every week. If you have a YouTube account, all you have to do is become a follower and turn on your notifications too, and you'll get a notice when the blog comes up. It is also available on all kinds of podcasts. You just have to look up Astrological Winds channel on whatever podcast you like, and I know it's on like Reveal and Spotify, Apple iPodcast, but I think there's about 20 of them that pick it up off of Buzzsprout every week. And like I said, before, you guys really don't need to see the video. It's usually just me talking to the camera or a chart. And remember, if you don't know astrology well, don't get so lost on the jargon or the language of the astrology, but listening to the energy of what the week is bringing, so that you can use that energy in kind of more harmonious way by knowing what that type of energy is. It really doesn't matter whether you know astrologically why that's happening. Also, Instagram is another place I post the link for the blog. If you have an Instagram account, once again, look up Astrological Winds channel. Become a follower. Most weeks I put extra stuff on Instagram too, especially on certain days that I think are like there's a lot going on. Might get into some of the moon aspects too. So, that is not a video or audio either. That's always just like a couple sentences of like, hey, today is like this. So doesn't take a lot of your time. Also, I post the link on Facebook. My Facebook account is private. So you'd have to friend me first or ask for a friend request. So it's Matthew with 2 T's and Lawton, Lauten. And some folks like to give a donation for the service that I give, which is a free service. And really the best way you can pay me back is just to pass on the blog link to someone else who might be interested in astrology. I would really appreciate that. Or if you need a reading, get in touch with me. I've been doing readings professionally for 20 years. And the best way to get in touch with me is my email, matthue823@gmail.com. That's matthue823@gmail.com. And if you'd like to give a donation, my Venmo handle is @Matthew, once again with 2 T's and then dash or hyphen Lawton, Lauten. All right, get that business out of the way here in the beginning, because a lot of people don't end up getting to the end and they miss the blog. So like I said, we're going into the Leo season, and the Sun and Mercury are traveling together, and so they're going to do some interesting stuff together this week with Ceres. They're all going to be conjunct one another pretty much, the beginning of the week, Monday through Thursday. We're really going to be feeling this first signature of energy of the Sun and Mercury conjuncting Ceres and opposite Pluto at the same time. And if you remember last week, they all squared Eris too. So they are in still that T-square. But the Pluto part is what's really coming up now. Monday, the exact Mercury Pluto opposition is on Monday, and then the exact Sun Pluto opposition is Tuesday because they're so close together. So those 2 days are going to have like, really, when you think about the opposition, there's a lot of like, Pluto brings up a lot of intense energy. It brings up a lot of stuff from the subconscious, a lot of stuff that's been hidden from us. And when you get Mercury involved, it's a lot of it is the mind. The mind is starting to like become aware of some of the psychological patterns or old patterns or things like that influence its thoughts and our thoughts and so what the Mercury Sun opposition is going to do is probably bring up some darker shadowy stuff, and because it's an opposition, a lot of it ends up getting into power struggle type things, possibly with other people. We have some very like intense thoughts, choices, communications that we can like project, especially onto like partners, or anyone we get into with a one-on-one type of relationship. So it can turn easily into a battle of like wills and words and thoughts of what is like almost like coercion or propaganda in trying to convince the other of your point of view and what you're seeing. So so it can bring some pretty intense encounters with others, or even our own inner self, our own inner psychology, and things like that. But what can happen is it can dissolve a little bit into like domination, subjugation type issues in relationships, both within and without, again, like really asking yourself where you're at with different people that you have partnership type relationships with. And that's not necessarily just romantic. I always have to remind people of that. You say partnership and people automatically think it's just romantic, but it can be all kinds of one-on-one relationships that you end up getting into, like this thing of like domination, subjugation, power struggles, and a lot of it is internally chewing that stuff too. So it really, and if worse comes to worse, especially with the Sun Pluto opposition, people can actually get pretty aggressive. If they don't have good control of themselves, they can get violent. So it's very important to realize what type of people and places you're around and where the energy is going if it starts to turn into like that kind of power struggle energy, and to get yourself out of that situation. But the Mercury, it really can give a very precise mind. You can really dig deep and find a lot of solutions to old problems, things that maybe are attached to the past. There may be some different conflicts in the way you want to approach those problems versus others. Like, it may feel really important to get your version of the truth out there, so you can be very persuasive with your words, and actions, and hopefully not dissolve into the level of coercion and propaganda, and indoctrination methods, to not get that intense about it. But, but to really look deep within, see how your own mind is working. It's easy also to see how that works with others, but to not put it out on them. And then with people, you can really, get to the kernel of the truth with this energy, and really get there. Now remember, a lot of the issues, again, since Ceres is there too, and because Eris is there too, are going to have to do with us feeling insecure about the nurturing and resources we get. And as I've been saying the last, months now, really, Ceres seems to be very attached to a lot of the issues going on and socially with the economy and stuff. So like when we have that external pressure and we're not feeling like the things we normally do work to get the security and nurturing and love even that we need, that Ceres represents, it can, and there's this rapid change going on from Eris that's very challenging, and now it's triggering all this deep stuff from Pluto, like really giving us a look to the shadow and deepness within ourselves and others. It really is a time when we can really powerfully purge a lot of this stuff if we are approaching it the right way instead of projecting it out. And then we can use the opposition to form like a tight working partnership with other people that do want to make these advances, that do want to get through blockages that they have, and do want to use their power to help and make positive changes and to bring some security and things like that in to their life and others' lives too. So it can be like really a powerful partnership of like kind of doing the research, doing the media output, doing the connections, and just not trying to have like use Mercury to use a detached state of mind about it instead of like getting emotionally turmoiled about it and then starting to project it once again. So very interesting energy, and like I said, it's going to really be going all through Monday through Thursday. And interestingly enough, on Tuesday Chiron goes retrograde, and on Thursday Eris goes retrograde. And I know I talked about both of them in the monthly, but that's once again very fitting for this kind of energy, because Chiron goes retrograde 4 or 5 months now. It's going to be a time where we can really look within to see how we are hurting ourselves, especially with Chiron and Aries, how our own actions hurt ourselves, how our own headstrong, kind of stubborn ways of being are creating our own wounding, possibly, and what can we learn from that? So this is like a very internalized energy again, like the Pluto Mercury stuff. So the fact that Chiron is stationing retrograde at the same time deepens that even more and gives us the ability to see how we hurt ourselves, and with the Mercury there, a lot of it has to do with controlling our own thoughts, disciplining our own thoughts, really the way out of fear, which is what a lot of this stuff comes from, is the ability to discipline your thoughts. And the wound, as I've always said with Chiron, that's always going to be there, but it's a learning of detachment somehow in doing that, and then just seeing how our minds are doing that so that we can learn to make that detachment, but the Eris stationing retrograde at the same time. And like I said, once again, mentioned a lot of this stuff in the monthly. If you need more details on that, go back to the 1st July blog, and the monthly has more of that. But just a lot of changes going on, and now it's going retrograde, so go within again. And all this energy in Aries too with Chiron and Eris. So it's like really the self-responsibility thing again. And also on Thursday, and I really went into a lot more detail with this on the monthly, and I'm not going to do it again, is that Jupiter semi-square Saturn. And remember, everybody was so excited at the solstice of 2020 when we had the Great Conjunction. Everybody was like, oh, this is the beginning of a new thing for me, the world, and everything. Well, this is the crescent phase of that cycle, the semi-square. There's a lot of frustrations and challenges now. There's a very delicate balance in what those ideas were that you planted. And it may even be a time where you recognize some of them are not valid and they just need to go. But like I said, this is a time when, it's a seedling, your idea right now. So it's very delicate. There's a lot of things in the environment that could take that out. And so there can be a lot of frustration and blockage. It can seem like, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, with a lot of that energy right now, which can be confusing. It can, make it not clear what to do. And, and if it's really bad, it may be a time where you have to separate and change, what you're doing. But for the most part, it's like a time where we're still having to let things develop and let things go. But we do need this nurturing of our idea or whatever that Jupiter Saturn represented to us. And it can be a very challenging time in society too. A lot of frustration and a lot of things feeling like they're blocked and not knowing where to go. Like I said, go back to the monthly if you want a lot more detail on that. And I really do think that's a very important part of what's going on right now, is to, recognize what part of that cycle is, so we don't, downspin too much, that this is like, and maybe lose whatever inspiration you had back then under the Great Conjunction. So you don't want to do that. All right, like I said, Leo season is upon us. Three of the bodies are going into Leo this week, and it's going to begin on Tuesday when Mercury goes into Leo first. And this is a time when we get really subjective about our own ideas, but we have very creative ideas that we are very confident in and believe in ourselves. So what happens is we kind of get our ego and pride a little bit attached. We get a little bit subjective to that, but it's Leo energy, and Leo wants to show it off. He wants to get it out to the world. So that Mercury into Leo is going to try to convince other people that we're right, that our ideas are the right thing. And so we're really, attached to our beliefs, but we really are strong and confident. And there's no question that people are feeling like they're being honest and truthful about where they are, that they're looking for their truth. And this is a point where we kind of may have had some truths exposed to us on a very personal level, and we really are strongly behind them right now, and we're really being honest and forthright about that. But it can be, sometimes be like a little bit overwhelming. But it's also a good time for being a leader, in the sense of like being able to organize things and plan things and getting projects going, and it's a lot of it just is like having that right attitude and not getting so pridefully involved in it that you start to turn people off by getting arrogant or something. It's just having the right tone, so to speak. But yeah, and it does give, it gives a very persistent energy about wanting to do this stuff too. And then on Friday, the sun goes into Leo too. And, and that's really, the Leo is all about creative energy. It is the creative spark energy within all of us. So this is when our creative spirit can really come out the most in a very individualistic way. And it needs to express itself. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, many times I think, society and groups can try to herd in the best parts of the individuals at times for their own, safety or security reasons. And this is a time when Leo's there where it's like, hey, be who you are, express yourself openly. Even, it's almost like a little bit voyeuristic for sure. But it's, Leo's energy is very friendly, it's very generous, it's very kind and loving. But, there are these pride issues that can get involved with Leo if they don't get their way, and they can be uncompromising about that. But in a way, you have to be in order to find out who you really are. Leo is that spark of life, and that's why the energy is so honest and open, and it's this blazing light coming in from inside you. So and also Leo has a time, like whatever, wherever we are in our life, where we can be put into more of a leadership position. It can be something official, or it can just be an energy switch of the way people around you recognize who you are and give you like more of a leadership type position. So it's just that time of like really wanting to be yourself. But you can gain a lot of respect, if you approach it the right way. Your creative ideas can get a lot of recognition, fame, and get a lot of respect. Then Saturday's series goes into Leo, and series is that, nurturing, mothering, resourcing type energy that we need to have. And so this is how we can get our own nurturing through our own self-expression. A lot of times when series goes into Leo, it's like a strong belief in our own self and our own creative ability to get what we need. So once again, we can almost help others too, like by showing them, hey, this is the way we can do this. And we can do that for each other. The series is going into Leo, so we can all see how, we can create different things that help us get the security we need, the nurturing we need, the things we need, and then we get self-esteem out of that, and once again can get some recognition and things like that. So very interesting time for all that Leo energy starting to switch in and wanting us to like really express our creative selves, and not to be afraid to put our creative selves out there, that we all have a unique talent or talents, and that when those are used correctly, they shift the energy to make you a leader and respected in some way because of that energy you're bringing. So, go out there and, be honest and forthright. And, it may turn some people off, but, it's really, a need that everybody has to find, who they really are inside them. Okay, and then Saturday also, there's a really sweet Mercury trine Jupiter on next Saturday, and Pallas Athene is at the midpoint between the two of them, so it's sextiling both of them. And this is a really great time to just make plans, to organize things, to communicate what your plans are, that kind of thing, to take care of the details of projects. It's using your mind to for a greater vision that you want to get out. And it's really great for business for sure. It's like one of these things that is a good time for people to come together and really create a wide visionary business plan and get to work on the details. But it's really the power of positive thinking, Mercury trine Jupiter. It shows that when your thoughts are positive, that you can create a positive feedback. It sees the big picture well. It has a very positive way of looking at reality. And there's a lot of interest usually. It's really good for study of higher education, whatever you're into, secondary education, adding to your knowledge base. A lot of interest usually in philosophy, religion, value systems. Travel is a great time for travel too. Long distance travel, exposure to other cultures, a lot of interest in religion and law, medicine, things like that. And, and then sextile the palace just increases all that energy. It just downloads this very creative, intelligent, intellectual energy and the ability to get that out and express that well with others. So it's a really, really good time next weekend for like just this, a wider vision and bringing that in whatever you're doing. And, just, your values and philosophies and ways of looking at things are just going to bring a lot of personal growth to your mind and ideas. And then on Sunday, there's a great Venus square Jupiter, probably one of the real nicest squares. It's going to be a weekend of really enjoying yourselves next weekend. It's, just go out there and have some fun, socializing with friends, R&R, out in nature, art and entertainment exposure, all those things. It's a great, great weekend to enjoy life with that Venus square Jupiter. We could, maybe overspend some money, overeat some food, pay for a few of our indulgences that way. But once again, it's just a wonderful socializing, having fun, getting out in nature or out to see some art kind of weekend. And then the last thing also on Sunday, the asteroid Juno goes retrograde, joins the retrograde parade. And Juno's all about partnerships. So it's going to be a time like you may be reassessing some of your partnerships and, and the way they're going, and like maybe seeing things that need to change in them and like, assessing that inside first so that we can bring it out later in the year. All right, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds channel. And once again, like I said, it's on YouTube. Become a follower, turn on your notifications, and you'll know. It's also on all kinds of podcasts. Just look up Astrological Winds channel. Instagram, same thing, and you get some extras during the week if you do Instagram. And free service. Please, please, please pass it on to somebody else when you're done today. That's the best way to pay me back. But if you do want to send a donation in for this service, that any donation is not too small. And my Venmo handle is at Matthew with 2 T's -Lawton, Lauten. Best way you guys can also support me is if you need an astrology reading. And I've been doing them professionally for over 20 years now. Just get in touch with me through my email, matthue823@gmail.com. That's matthue823@gmail.com. And I do natal charts. You got to know your natal chart first, your birth chart, and know the energies that you always have with you. And then once you have that, I highly recommend getting every year around your birthday to get a predictive reading, and which is basically your weather report, just like I'm doing this week. For this week, I do that for you for a year, because every year different energies are affecting your chart. So, rather than, kind of wondering what's going on, and you'll be like, okay, this is the timing of this is what it's about, and help you work with some of that stuff. Also, relationship charts, children's charts, relocation, astrolocality if you're thinking about moving somewhere. Also, election charts if you're thinking about an important event or thing that you're doing, like starting a business, a wedding. You want to try to get the best day and time to launch that so that it has a good birth chart. Do that. Horary questions if you're really looking for some kind of answer that you can't just seem to get, and the emotional charge is just really deep within it. So all kinds of different readings, fixed stars if you're interested in deeper soul purpose. I'm also available for all kinds of lectures or events where you might want an astrologer for mini readings or something. Just get in touch with me. There's also 5 beginners classes available for people who want to learn more. on a deeper level. They're $25 a piece or $20 if you have a student ID, and they're up on Dropbox, so I just let you access them that way. So yeah, just get in touch on any of those things. matthue823@gmail.com. All right, well, enjoy the beginning of the Leo time of the year. Don't be afraid to express yourself and your uniqueness and your talents, and get it out there. And until next week, this is Matt Lawton. This is the Astrological Winds Channel signing off.